Palmistry reading of a male. His age is approximately 37. So we would be reading his hand. Before I start my video, I would request you to press the bell icon on YouTube and don't miss another update. To get a reading from me, you can call me or you can email me. These are the phone number and the email that are mentioned out here. So now we straight away head to this particular hand image that we have in front of me, and I would be telling you whatever important things that I see on this particular palm. We have the right as well as the left hand. Right hand is the hand of the present, left hand is the hand of the past, left is passive hand and right is active hand. We do not ignore the left hand. So let us basically start with the left hand. People think that they would have a completely different left hand and completely different right hand. It is not like that. There are lots of similarities in both the hands. So if we read the left or the right, it doesn't matter much. This is the first thing you should basically understand. The most important lines I would be talking about in the left hand, and the lines that very few people have. So this is a common line. This is the lifeline that everybody basically is having. But what is rare in this particular hand is having this particular line running parallel to the lifeline. So you would notice that this particular line is another lifeline or a supporting lifeline. And not many people might have this particular line that I've just drawn. People might have just a small kind of a line, or some people might have an even longer line, but uh, it's a very, very rare case scenario when these lines are running for a very long distance and almost as long as the lifeline. So, if I give example of who basically has it, some famous personalities who have this particular line, Mamta Banerjee has it, Sonia Gandhi has it. So, let's take the quality of the Mars. This is the area where it is starting. The Mars negative area. Mars negative area is the area of anger, aggression, and fire. So people who have this particular line would have their fire intact throughout their life. The spark is required to be successful. So that spark is always going to be there in his life. It also means that let us imagine that life stops, everything stops. There's a full stop in his life somewhere at the age of, let's say, 35, 40, 45, any age. But due to this particular line, the person is going to able to rebuild his life. So this is one of the best line. It is kind of a line that is protecting you. It is kind of a armor around this particular person, and it is protecting the person not just in terms of health but also in terms of every possible aspect of their life. It might protect the person emotionally, like the heart line, mentally, the mind line, financially, the money line. So all aspects get protected due to this particular line that the person has. These horizontal lines that we see out here, these are a little bit negative kind of lines. And these negative lines basically are a kind of roadblocks or something like this. And when let's take this lifeline. So when they touch the lifeline or they move further ahead, basically it shows that those particular portions of the life is going to get affected. If it touches the lifeline, basically your health gets affected. But due to the supporting line, you are getting protected. So this is how we are basically making a conclusion out here. So there are few negative lines also, but because of the strength of the supporting lifeline, it is a beautiful sign. Consider this one of the best sign the person has in his palm. So this is one of the best signs. Now we take a look at the other aspects. See, generally people think that money line tells everything about the money, but money line does tell a little bit. But apart from the money line, if you have also a supporting lifeline, it also helps you and helps you greatly. The importance of money and how much money we might make in our life in terms of how much a money line can tell. It can tell only 10, 15, 20%. That's the maximum. So each and every line that we see on the palm is either supporting or is taking the person towards a negative side. Now, the best possible lines that a person can have is perpendicular lines on the mount of Mercury. These lines are considered to be good lines, and towards the end, you would find that there's a V or a Y-like thing pointing towards the mount of Mercury. This is again a good indication. And the other good thing about is that this these lines, the Mercury line, have got reasonably good strength. See, some people might have a very weak and a meek kind of a line, very weak kind of a line. These kind of lines that you can barely see. So those are not considered because strong lines that I've just drawn uh, signify that the person is sharpening their skills. A person who sharpens their skills, the chances for success for them basically increases. So this is what is basically depicted by a strong Mercury line. Now we move back to the right hand. Let's basically concentrate on the right hand only. The same indications can be seen. The supporting lifeline, this is the supporting line, and this is basically the lifeline. So supporting lifeline is the strength that the person has got within himself. It is explained to you in a different way. Imagine this is the car you are traveling in, and these are car, truck, cycle, scooter coming and striking your life. But if there's a in between there's a parallel line to the lifeline, the strength of the line of Mars, the negative lines of Mars, is getting stopped. It is kind of a roadblock in between you and your car. So this is what it is basically meaning. So don't think that the importance of these lines is very less. It's very important lines. Now, the other important line that I can refer to is uh, on the mount of Jupiter. You would notice a line coming from the mount of Jupiter, very straight and strong, coming and joining the lifeline. Now, the importance of this particular line is also very important. What basically it does is that it takes a person to a higher position. The lines that join from the mount of Jupiter to the life is meaning that your life is getting guided by Jupiter. Guided by Jupiter basically means Jupiter is a big planet. Big planet means growth, expansion, ambition in one's life. So the person is always on the growth path. So this is what is depicted by these upward lines from the mount of Jupiter joining the lifeline. It's a very important line, and it takes a particular person to a higher position. It could be government job, or it could be plain simple be governance. So people who have these lines move towards the governance part or the religion part or the administration part. It could be in private also, they could move towards the administration part. So these are good lines, and uh, each one of these lines kind of strengthens the quality of the money line. So money line in itself is just 15%. These lines that you see out here basically adds up to the strength of your money line as well. Although the Mount of Jupiter is not for money. Mount of Jupiter is plain simple for growth and expansion. So you need to have that attitude of growth and expansion. Only then you are going to basically try to grow. So this is what is depicted by these lines. Now, an important thing that we see out here is that this is the money line, and this money line basically is quite stable, and like it continues at least till the age of 53. This is the headline, this intersection that we talked about. This is age 35, and this intersection of the heart and the money line is age 53. So this portion of the money line is before the age of 35. This portion is from 35 to 53, and this portion is 53 and beyond. From here to here, 53 and beyond. So I'm just going to remove all these lines and just explain to you. You would notice that there's a break out here. So two things are happening on the headline. One thing is happening that the break, what it does is break changes your perception of your life. It is a very important landmark in one's life. See, normally what happens is everybody has got a very consistent kind of a line, very deep and consistent kind of a line. There's a continuity in line. When there's a continuity in line, there's a gradual thought process remains the same throughout their life, and there's nothing wrong with it. It makes a person more predictable. So predictability is good for business as well. So don't think that you need to have a major change in your some line in order to succeed. Even a simple line can mean success, but in this case what is happening is that there's an upward swing that is taking place, and that upward swing is pointing towards the mount of Mercury. Now, the Mercury mount is basically the area of your skill. And if the mind line, this is the mind line, your thought process line, moves upward and points towards the fingers, it can be any finger. It is something like this is the sky, the fingers is the sky, and the downward area is the earth. So, if imagine a small branch was pointing downwards towards the base of the palm or towards the mount of moon, it would mean disappointment. So it is the opposite of disappointment what is happening, that with this upward line pointing towards the sky, it is some event taking place in the person's life which is taking the person upward and bringing in more joy, happiness, luck, something of that sorts in his particular life. This is what is depicted out here. Now, if we and the other line that we refer to out here is the inward kind of a line that it starts. Now, this inward line is kind of starting pointing towards from the mount of Mars negative. Mars negative is the area of anger, aggression, and fire. So, what's happening is that if the mind line is angling from the mount of Mars negative area, it means some amount of anger and aggression might creep in into this particular person's life. So anger and aggression is not so good. So I would say advise the person, try to remove anger and aggression. That should be good for all throughout your life. Now this negative line that we talked about, this negative line is coming and almost touching the money line, this particular money line. See, any line, if it touches the money line, your money gets affected. And at what age it's going to get affected? It's happening before the intersection. That means before the age of 35. So somewhere at the age of 33, these things are happening. But because the quality of the line as such is not diminished, it's nothing bad. It is remaining the same. So it's the person might not have been affected as much. It could have affected this particular person. Another trouble line comes and touches the money line out here. So it's happening even before the age of 33. So somewhere at the age of around the age of 30, 31. But even this line basically is not in any way bad. Now the other part is that a line from the Mount of Moon is coming and kind of trying to join into the main money line, but basically it is crossing. So crossing of line is not so good, and the event is taking place somewhere around the age of 30. So there could have been some benefits, but those benefits might not have applied. Although there's a triangle-like formation forming on the money line, so triangle basically means property. Although if it would have been a very singular kind of a triangle, something like this on the line of money, then I would have surely said property. So this is one part. The other part is that the trouble line uh, coming or pointing from this particular area, this particular line is coming and touching the headline somewhere close to the age of after the intersection. So this after the intersection is around the age of 38 or so. But again, the quality of the headline is neat and clean, which automatically means things are going to be the person may feel that trouble is coming, but it's not going to affect this particular person in any major way. Before the age of 35, this intersection, you would notice that there's another line that is coming and touching the headline, but the quality of the headline remains the same. So troubles are coming, but the person is not affected at all. Like the person would face the troubles and basically move ahead in their life. Now, as far as the line of sun goes, so this is basically the sun line. This is the sun line, and even this is basically the sun line. These are the sun line. Now, the sun line basically generally people say the sun line is the name and fame line and the luck line. I don't call them as the name and fame or the luck line, I call them as your career line, and how good you would be in your career, and from what age the person is likely to get more name and fame and is going to do better in their career prospects. So this is what we would be talking about out here regarding the sunlight. So what we see out here is that the starting period where it starts close to the money line. This particular line, this is basically the money line, and the line starts somewhere at this particular age and starts. So this particular age is approximately 32. This is when things starts to look up according to name and fame. It doesn't mean that the person wouldn't have any losses or any sort of those things, but his name starts to build up. But you would notice that the quality of the line, there's no depth in the line in the initial stage of the life. I'm just going to just tweak the image a little bit and explain to you with darkening the image. So during this particular period, you would notice that the line is not so deep and clear. So when the line is not so deep and clear, it signifies that there could be few doubts. Although the headline is neat and clean, try to understand. Uh, you would say that I'm talking about two different things, completely. I'm saying that there's clarity in your mind, in your thought process, but when it comes to your work, what might be happening that some doubts might be creeping in, and doubts are coming because the line of sun is not so deep and clear. I try to segment the sunline into three different ways, like for just explanation purpose. It is deep cloud, light cloud, no cloud. Deep clouds is a situation when the line is not so deep and clear. Out here also you would notice it's not so deep and clear. It's barely visible. So it means that doubts are there in the life, and that is the reason why uh, there could be self-doubt, and self-doubt basically destroys everything. So my advice to this particular person is removal of all the doubts the person basically has. The presence of the line of sun, however light it might be, however thin it might be, it still signifies success. But if you remove the doubts, your success is going to increase manyfold. Now we talk about no clouds situation. No clouds is a situation where the line is deep and clear. Deep and clear line basically signifies that there are no doubts. It basically means that the sun is shining bright and it's falling onto the earth. And what's happening is that the plants on the earth are growing much faster. So basically, what it means, a deep line means that the person is energizing their work. So a person who energizes their work, the chances for success increases. So this is what it means. But try to understand one more thing. You might say that, and I'm just going to time the events. This portion of the line is after the age of 53. This portion of the line is before the age of 35, and this portion is from 35 to 53. So you notice, you'd say that that you are not likely to get success before the age of 53 because the line is very dim and unclear. It is not like that, because one line does not determine everything. Presence of a strong line of Mercury, it signifies very strong set of skills is that what you require for success. So if a person has got a very strong set of skills, the person is likely to be successful even now. His age is approximately 37, in spite of a very thin kind of a line. Thin sunline basically means that in your room clouds, they are full of clouds. Full of clouds basically mean that there's a door and you want to go outside the door, you're unable to find the door because of the deep clouds. In deep clouds, you are unable to find the sunline. It's hardly visible. So this is what I'm trying to convey by these particular lines. So it's not one line that determines everything. It's a combination of each and every line that determines how successful the person is likely to be. And the other thing is that your money line is changing course somewhere at the age of 53. This is the heart line, and this intersection is age 53. So what's happening is that it's kind of uh, it's kind of ending out here, and new lines are developing after the age of 53. So after 53, some new work can be expected. It might not be completely different, but it could be something related. But and there's a line between the Saturn and the Sun finger. So this is the line that I'm referring to. One different palmist told me a person who has this particular line would be able to develop his hobby into a profession. So it could be something to that effect as well. These a little bit slanting kind of lines is also considered to be good. It's all happening after the age of 53, so it's a combination of lines uh, from near to the mount of Mars reaching the mount of Sun. So Saturn is more to do with money, and Sun is more to do with name and fame and brightness, all these kind of things. So both these lines are good. These lines and this particular line that we refer to, these are reasonably good. And there's also another money line. So these are multiple money lines that are developing after the age of 53, or maybe a little bit before that as well. So this portion is before the age of 53. Out here also, this portion of the money line, you would notice that there's a line that is running parallel. A parallel line means a parallel income. It could mean a parallel income, or it could just mean uh, some support system with you. So this could mean that. Now we talk about the heart line as well. Now the heart line is kind of ending under the mount of Saturn, and a line of Saturn, a line of heart that ends under the mount of Saturn signifies that the person is likely uh, likely to value money, and people who value money, basically they are able to get more money. These people could be more materialistic. These people know the importance of money, and wherever they get a chance to make money, they basically would not shy away. So people who have this person doesn't have a very long heart line. People who have got a very long heart line would signify that the person is highly emotional, sensitive, but this person is more realistic because the heart line is ending under the mount of Saturn. Saturn means being realistic. This is what basically it signifies, and we would just take a look at the other hand as well. Just I'll just go back to the left hand for a while, and you notice that few lines towards the end are moving downward. These are downward lines, all happening after the age of around 60, from 60 onwards, pointing towards the mount of moon. When these lines point towards the mount of moon, it signifies that the person's desire to travel might increase. It could also mean restlessness. It could mean also loss of health or loss of money. So these things the person needs to be cautious about. Although the person is getting protected because of this supporting lifeline. So there are negative aspects, but they get negated by the supporting lifeline. So this is what is shown. These upward lines, this is the lifeline, and these upward lines pointing towards the Saturn finger. These are good period in one's life. This is the period where lots of money is going to come and luck is going to be there. Upward lines are always considered to be good. Downward lines are always considered to be bad. And as such, I would say the mental balance of the particular person is a very balanced kind of a person, because both these lines, the heart and the head, they are evenly distanced, and the length is even, like nearly same kinds. And this is the left hand. In the left hand also, the sunlight is kind of coming from inside. In the right hand, it was somewhere starting from here. So when it comes from the inside, it means help from the family as well. And I would end this video right now out here. Before I end this video, I would just repeat few things that I repeat in almost all my videos. That is, Importance of money in terms of how much money is only 15% on the money line. We can come to know about money, possession, and wealth from any aspect of your palm. It can be your heart line, your head line, your Mercury, Venus, Mars, or any other line. A saint once said, you do not need to go to an astrologer or palmist to know about your future because you already know your future. Present is the result of past. How will be my future? Future depends upon what you are doing in the present. What are we? We are product of our thoughts. So the thoughts that come to our mind are really important. Keep positive thoughts and keep good company. That's what matters the most. Thanks, bye, and take care.